We talked about it yesterday, but it's looking more likely than ever that the Activision Blizzard merger with Microsoft is going to be improved in the EU. This is coming from Reuters. Let's talk about what they've said, what Bloomberg have said about the EU and the CMA. Let's dive into it all right now. So, the first article comes from Reuters, and I'm just going to bring up the important quotes. Here is the article, but my highlighter wasn't working again, so here are the important quotes from Reuters. Microsoft Corp is expected to secure EU antitrust approval for its $69 billion acquisition of Activision, with its offer of licensing deals to rivals, three people familiar with the matter said, helping it to clear a major hurdle. The European Commission, which is scheduled to decide on the deal by April 25th, is not expected to demand that Microsoft sell assets to win its approval, the people said. Now, that's very important. It means there's not going to be any divesting of companies or cutting apart Activision Blizzard, as that would negatively impact the company and likely the employees. And it doesn't seem necessary given the concessions that Microsoft is willing to make, which we'll get into in just a second. In addition to the licensing deals for rivals, Microsoft may also have to offer other behavioral remedies to allay concerns of other parties other than Sony, one of the people said. Such remedies typically refer to the future conduct of the merged company. The EU competition enforcer has declined to comment, and again, that is from Reuters. So yet again, they are looking to get a few more concessions out of Microsoft for how things work out in the future with Sony. And that's why Sony never accepted that 10-year deal. They knew at the end of the day that they could probably get a better deal if they just kept quiet and let Microsoft do their thing with the legislators. Now, I've been holding on to this tweet for a long time, but if we go back in time and look real quick at this tweet from Tom Warren, he points out that, fun fact, Microsoft was going to show this slide at its Activision acquisition press conference in Brussels earlier this week. It was replaced with one, but the potential of bringing Call of Duty to 150 million more people instead. This is like something that I have brought up many times. PlayStation has 5 times more exclusive titles than Xbox. It's the IP issue. Yes, Microsoft has a lot of different companies that work with them, but when you look at the number of IPs, Microsoft has 59, PlayStation has 286. So the idea that them acquiring Activision Blizzard, which would honestly put them at parity IP-wise with PlayStation, the idea that that would be a problem to me is just not true. What actually would happen is PlayStation would need to improve their things to retain their customer base, and it would just sort of even out the playing field. And that's sort of always been my stance on it. I just sort of found it funny that Microsoft basically used one of the talking points I bring up in my videos for one of their fancy slides. So yeah, continuing on, what else do we have to go through here? So quote 2, this is from yesterday. Now remember, Microsoft says it has offered the CMA solutions that addresses concerns about the acquisition and increase the deal's benefits for British gamers and developers. Hey, you know what else would increase benefits for this channel? If you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell right now, the channel could hit 100,000 subscribers. We're like 200 subscribers away. So if you've watched this far and you're one of the 50% of people who aren't subscribed, we're going to hit it probably by the time this video airs. So I'm really, really excited. Let's help the channel get there, and I'll get back to the quote. Sorry, I saw a really cheesy segue into that, and you let me know if it worked out in the comments below. Anyway, from yesterday, this includes a guarantee of 100% parity between Microsoft's Xbox and Sony's PlayStation for access to Call of Duty, as well as legally binding commitments to make the game available to at least 150 million more players on rival consoles and cloud streaming services if the deal closes. That's via the Nintendo and Nvidia agreements. Microsoft says that the decision now lies with the CMA on whether it will block this deal and protect Sony, the dominant market leader, or consider solutions that make more games available to more players. Nothing about the offer for all Activision Blizzard games, Diablo, Overwatch, etc., as Equity Report mentioned yesterday. So that was in my previous video. Fast forward to today, Bloomberg is also reporting about the CMA. Bloomberg is saying the following. These are the important bits. Via Bloomberg, via IDIS over on Reset Era, who's really great about keeping track of all this stuff. Microsoft also said it's willing to pay a third-party monitor to oversee their compliance, the people said. A measure designed to relieve the CMA from having to devote resources to make sure the tech giant follows through on its promises. And I believe they did this with the LinkedIn purchase. When they purchased LinkedIn, because there were some concerns there, they said, okay, we'll pay for an independent party to monitor our compliance with it. When you're paying somebody to watch yourself, I mean, it's like, oh, I'll tell you what, here's what I'll do. I will pay somebody else to make sure I'm not being bad. It seems weird, but I guess it works in legal land. Anyway, the London meetings were led by the case's independent inquiry group with support from the case team, said the people. The CMA will publish its final decision on the merger on April 26. The companies plan to submit a revised proposal to the EU authorities this week following the closed-door discussions, the people said. So, EU looking like it's going to be improved. It looks like some good stuff is happening with the CMA. The CMA is having conversations with Microsoft, and things seem to be going well. We talked about how China is likely going to approve the deal. What else do I have? Well, there is also another interesting story. There's a rumor of a potential buyout, and take this one with a grain of salt. Okay. The rumor is, and I'll shorten this up for you, that Take-Two is going to be purchased by Sony as a counter to Microsoft's purchase of Activision Blizzard. Now, this is the source from the Motley Fool is basically a tweet. If I bring up the website here, and we'll zoom in real quick. The fuel for this rumor appears to be a Tuesday morning post on a relatively obscure entertainment website called Xfire. The post cites a source a tweet published on Monday by a self-described game industry analyst with the Twitter handle Rithian. Is this the meme that was going around, though? Anyway, Rithian claimed to have extremely good authority. One second here. I'm going to bring it up really quick and just see if that is like the meme post that everybody's been making fun of right now. Rithian. Yeah, it is. Okay, yeah, so... Okay, yeah, so Motley Fool is reporting on this thing, which I've seen all over the place. Have it on extremely good word that if Microsoft acquires Activision Blizzard, Sony is going after Take-Two. So just take that with a grain of salt. I just thought I would mention it, but that would certainly be interesting, right? And I have to imagine there would be a bidding war between Microsoft for Take-Two also. Who knows what's going to happen there? I have to imagine Sony would go ahead with that. Let's just... that's been around. I wanted to talk about it. Take it with a grain of salt for sure, because no offense to Rithian, but I've never heard of him before. Maybe he's gotten some other stuff right. Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, getting back on track here. China is going to approve the deal, and things are looking good all around. There were some reactions to my video yesterday. What else do I have to go over here? Here's what Hogue Law said. You always say, why don't you get Hogue on here? Well, he's not really doing a ton of stuff online right now, but sometimes he does tweet gems like this one. As I've said in the past, the vestiture really doesn't make sense with the way Activision Blizzard King is structured. So it's good to see the regulators coming to the same conclusion. And he is talking about the Reuters piece. Now, Florian Foss Patents said a little bit, because a lot of you gave me a hard time about the protective order over on the FTC website. Well, people on Twitter did anyway. The protective order means that a lot of the documents are going to be sealed. And if we look at the filing, you can see like a lot of what happened here. Like here's exhibit D. The entire exhibit is subject to the protective order. However, did you forget that there were 97 pages in this document, and there were stories written for like weeks and weeks and weeks about this merger? Like even with the redacted segments, there's still claims from Microsoft that Sony blocks games from coming to Game Pass, and a lot of stuff came out of this dealing. So first of all, yes, Sony will have to give those documents to Microsoft, and Microsoft will look at them, and we're going to get to see whatever the legal jargon is that'll be redacted to the general public. You remember in Brazil, we got to read all those Brazil documents. So yes, we are going to get some interesting stuff out of the case if it goes to trial. Now, I actually think the whole thing gets dropped. I think it's going to get settled because I think the FTC knows they have a loser based off of what most of the industry analysts have said. Like, it's going to be a tough battle. Anyway, here's what Foss Patton said about the protective order. There's a lot of talk about the impact of the protective order in the FTC merger case. If the trial takes place in August, it won't if the FTC withdraws its complaint. The hurdle for sealing will be reasonably high. Some numbers will, of course, remain confidential. The protective order changes nothing about the fact that it is, in principle, a public proceeding. So the judge has to strike a balance between Microsoft and Activision Blizzard getting a public trial and third-party confidential business information being protected. There's not only the FTC case, but also the one in the Northern District of California, the so-called Gamers lawsuit. The proceedings there will be even more public. It's a super transparent district. So should there be a trial in NorCal, a lot more material will become public. In high-profile cases like this, news agencies and media outlets sometimes bring their own motions to unseal documents, even in already closed cases. And they often enforce their constitutional rights successfully. Also, they ask appeals courts for help if necessary. So if you're not aware about Florian here, here's a few facts about him and why he might know what he's talking about. He is a German lobbyist. He is an intellectual property activist. He's consulted for Microsoft. He worked on Blizzard. He worked for Blizzard on StarCraft 1, Diablo 1, Warcraft 2. He talks constantly on Foss Patton. You've probably seen him online. He's been a little spicy lately. He's a consultant for companies and helps with collaborations between software companies. At least he did in the 80s. In 2004, he founded No Software Patents, and that opposed the European Commission's proposed directive on the patentability of computer implemented inventions. And you also got he got some important backing from people like Red Hat for that. And in the 80s, he helped the EU and US companies work together to publish software. And he wrote a book when he was 16. So he has been talking about this stuff for years and years and years now. And that is why a lot of people are like, okay, this Florian Mueller guy, he can be a little bit spicy. Like he's getting heat over on Reset Era right now because he said something about ITIS, who obviously I like a lot and use a lot on this channel. But that is his take on the FTC case. And I was curious to learn more about him. So not trying to be creepy or anything, but that's what his Wikipedia says. All that information, it's all public information. Yeah, so that's everything that has happened in the last day. I think that's the long and the short of it. Okay, so from ITIS, let's look real quick at some key dates. March 1st, that's the last day to respond to the CMA. Early March, we're going to hear response hearings with the CMA. I don't know if those are public, though. Early March 2023, the cutoff point to offer remedies to the European Commission. Late March, responses to the provisional. Motion for a preliminary injunction on the Gamers lawsuit happens on April 12th. April 18th is the second extension where they hit $2.5 billion if they want to squash the deal. The final decision is on April 25th from the European Commission. On the 26th, the final report is from the CMA. The 28th is New Zealand. April to May is China. July 18th is the $3 billion deadline. August 2nd, the FTC in-house trial begins. Early 2024, decision from the FTC administrative law judge. And then whatever happens from there. Again, that is ITIS from Reset Era. Whew, that is a lot. Hey, you know what? If you've watched this far, you should hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, because literally this video, I think, is going to put this channel to the 100,000 subscriber mark. So if you want to be one of the first 100,000 subscribers, you better get that sub in quick. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to everybody who has subscribed. That is a major milestone. I haven't hit it yet. This is past Destin, who hasn't seen what happens to future Destin yet. So I'll probably have a very happy video in the next few days if the trajectory keeps going the way it is. And thank you so much to the members for supporting. If you don't like these videos with ads, hey, you know what? Click that join button and the ads can get turned off. Thank you for helping the channel grow. Thank you for supporting. I really, really appreciate all the members. I'm going to get out of here, but if you want to see yesterday's video where I talked about the FTC documents, you can do so here and then get the additional context from the response that I was making today. I'm going to get out of here. Bye for now, everybody.